Buddha's teachings, real state of things, since everything in this world is brought about by causes and conditions, there can be no fundamental distinctions among things. The apparent distinctions exist because of people's absurd and discriminating thoughts. In the sky, there is no distinction of east and west. People create the distinctions out of their own minds and then believe them to be true. Mathematical numbers from 1 to infinity are each complete numbers, and each in itself carries no distinction of quantity, but people make the discrimination for their own convenience so as to be able to indicate varying amounts. Inherently, there are no distinctions between the process of life and the process of destruction. People make a discrimination and call one birth and the other death. In action, there is no discrimination between right and wrong, but people make a distinction for their own convenience. Buddha keeps away from these discriminations and looks upon the world as upon a passing cloud. To Buddha, every definitive thing is illusion. He knows that whatever the mind grasps and throws away is insubstantial. Thus, he transcends the pitfalls of images and discriminative thoughts. People grasp at things for their own imagined convenience and comfort. They grasp at wealth and treasure and honors. They cling desperately to moral life. They make arbitrary distinctions between existence and non existence, good and bad, right and wrong. For people, life is a succession of graspings and attachments, and then, because of these, they must assume the illusions of pain and suffering. Once there was a man on a long journey who came to a river. He said to himself, "This side of the river is very difficult and dangerous to walk on, and the other side seems easier and safer. But how shall I get across?" So he built a raft out of branches and reeds and safely crossed the river. Then he thought to himself, "This raft has been very useful to me in crossing the river. I will not abandon it to rot on the bank, but will carry it along with me." And thus he voluntarily assumed an unnecessary burden. Can this man be called a wise man? This parable teaches that even a good thing, when it becomes an unnecessary burden, should be thrown away. Much more of it is a bad thing. Buddha made it the rule of his life to avoid useless and unnecessary discussions. Things do not come and go, neither do they appear and disappear. Therefore, one doesn't get things or lose things. Buddha teaches that things neither appear nor disappear, since they transcend both the affirmation of existence and the denial of existence. That is, everything being a concordance and succession of causes and conditions. A thing in itself doesn't exist, so it can be said that it is non existent at the same time because it has a relative connection with causes and conditions. It can be said that it is not non existent. To adhere to a thing because of its form is the source of delusion. If the form is not grasped and adhered to, this false imagination and absurd delusion will not occur. Enlightenment is seeing this truth and being free from such a foolish delusion. The world indeed is like a dream, and the treasures of the world are an alluring mirage. Like the apparent distances in a picture, things have no reality in themselves, but are like heat haze. To believe that things created by an incalculable series of causes can last forever is a serious mistake and is called the theory of permanency. But it is just as great a mistake to believe that things completely disappear. This is called the theory of non existence. These categories of everlasting life and death, and existence and non existence, do not apply to the essential nature of things, but only to their appearances as they are observed by defiled human eyes. Because of human desire, people become related and attached to these appearances, but in the essential nature of things, they are free from all such discriminations and attachments. Since everything is created by a series of causes and conditions, the appearances of things are constantly changing. That is, there is no consistency about it as there should be about authentic substances. It is because of this constant changing and appearances that we liken things to a mirage and a dream. But in spite of this constant changing in appearances, things in their essential spiritual nature are constant and changeless. To a man, a river seems like a river, but to a hungry demon which sees fire in water, it may seem to be like fire. Therefore, to speak to a man about a river existing would have some sense, but to the demon it would have no meaning. In like manner, it can be said that things are like illusions. They can be said neither to be existent nor not existent. Yet it can not be said that, apart from this world of change and appearance, there is another world of permanence and truth. It is a mistake to regard this world as either a temporal world or as a real one. But ignorant men of this world assume that this is a real world and proceed to act upon that absurd assumption. But as this world is only an illusion, their acts, being based upon error, only lead them into harm and suffering. A wise man, recognizing that the world is but an illusion, doesn't act as if it were real, so he escapes the suffering. Hari Om Tat Sat.